Hello, welcome to Officially Charting Workshop. Today I'm going to be showing you the one that got away at 16, made by yours truly. And so today I wanted to showcase this chart because I wanted to generally showcase my modern way of tackling / charting runs. So pump it up runs. What are runs? They're basically streams. So they can be in 8th notes, 16th notes, quarter notes. Like, they're just a constant stream of notes. And the problem was, because I constantly make lower difficulties, and I'm saying like between anything below like a 14, that typically don't necessarily, well, they still have runs, but I think 16th runs is more specifically what I'm struggling with, what I was struggling to chart with. Typically they show up around S13. But my charting would almost exclusively use high twists to like complement them, like 8th note ones. I would never dare like doing like I don't know, like a 16th like triplet. Like this is like unheard of in my household basically. But nonetheless, I have kind of, you know, as I've like been trying to expand the spread of my set list, I've gotten to the point where now I think I've kind of made a formulaic way of how to, for me at least, how to master developing runs, right? And what better way to do it than review the chart that Ellison, my friend, you know, he's been someone I've sent my charts a lot, and, you know, he really likes his chart. So, yeah, why not?
Summer after high school when we first met, we make out in your Mustang to Radiohead, and on my 18th birthday we got matching tattoos. Used to steal your parents' liquor and climb to the roof, talk about a future like we had a clue, never planned that one day I'd be losing you.
I would pretty much say for the first verse, it's more or less focused on just, you know, I more or less recently have been trying to make just standardized safe charts, if that makes any sense. Stuff that isn't necessarily unique per se, but is effectively close to stuff that you see in officials, right? Because like this 14 here, I actually still really like this chart. I think it's pretty jank in a lot of ways. But I think I went off based on vibes too much back then. Like there's a spin here. And then like later on, because there's no 16th notes, you would just have really extended twists, which I enjoy, but at the same time, not all players will like that type of pattern. So that's where so this chart is so, this has freaking cranky zone twists. So that's the overall idea where I've been trying to make a safer chart, so I don't have a script, if that is already evident enough. So yeah, just you know, minimal 8th notes and variations with when it comes to twists. Just generally going off vibes. And now I'm introducing the 16th. So I do this a lot with my recent charts. Where is it? I'm trying to not... I don't have anything here. Where is it? What is like my more like modern stuff? Because sometimes I go back and I make like difficulties, right? But this style I do a lot now. It's so instead of what you'd kind of expect, where it's like a full-on like run like this. I'm just smashing things on my keyboard. So like I would typically, that's what I would expect for like a 16. And then from like that snare, then I would have holds. Extend. I would be your girl. Like that. But instead what I ought to do now, it's kind of like, I guess like, kind of like my more like recent style. 4/16ths, or like lowers, like maybe 14 for 16ths. It's this gallop motion, and that's what there's also like intentional gallops, like this. These ones are smooth, where you're just going from left to right, side by side. But these ones are connected, I would say, because you're going. You see, what I mean by connected is how this is a continuation from going left to right, versus something like this. This is almost like a chopped segment, like a chopped gallop. So stuff like that, how you can be more mindful for your plays and just like how you want to make it. So that's the difference between those two extremes. Based on the vocal here. And then from here, pretty much it's just copy and pasted. Yeah, from here, it's mirrored. It's the same thing, but mirrored. Just a pretty clean way of just continuing the overall concept. And, you know. Sorry, someone fucking sent me a text. It's probably my mom. Thanks for the LinkedIn post. Anyways. I could be overthinking this, but, you know, things like heavyweight things like this. The one that got away. It's a sad song. So that's why things like what I can tell between like an experienced charter and non-experienced charter, it's like not necessarily experienced, because this technically does the same principle. So why would you do that? But I'm trying to ultimately, what I think is the biggest standout feature of why my more modern charts are a lot better. And when I mean modern, I mean like I was talking about this in the FNAF charting analysis video, which should be already uploaded by the time I do this. But I've been using different aliases of like when I started first starting. So like it was first Andy, then Pundy, and those were different years. And based on having these principles, these philosophies that were mostly formed for me, at least for Step Pua, official charters, EXC, also Groot XD for symmetry, for customs, things like that have overall made me a much better charter, where I have much less L's nowadays in like things that I'm much more proud of nowadays. And probably looking in the future, there might be things that I'm not proud of, but I think I'm getting to the point now where I'm finally thinking like I'm in a way mastering charting. At least my definitions feel a lot more clear in my mind rather than just ambiguous. Like this S14 feels good in my mind. It's fun in my mind, but that doesn't mean it is objectively good. But I could yap all day. So that's why, you know, by intentionally theming each note, this is why we have it chopped here. Chopped instead of a follow through. Hopefully that explains. It's the overall, when you place these notes, you gotta imagine yourself freestyling / no barring to it, in my opinion, right? And when you do that, you really feel the slow weight / emphasis of each note. I'm using my hands because that's what I usually do. Nowadays I autopilot with my mind, envisioning a little person that's dancing. I think that's not maybe the best example. Or sometimes then I go back, I sometimes use my hand. It becomes almost automatic. And there's different ways of how people do this. I know like DJ 505 uses his feet and stuff like that. I used to use my feet for a long time, but now I don't know, because of focusing medicine or something, but now it's like a more experienced. It's become a lot more automated in my mind. I don't have to think new as much, unless if I'm like pulling my more, or if I'm tired. This is like a side dance. Da, da, da. Again, just my own personal stylization. There's technically no right or wrong way, but you know, stuff like this being follow through versus cuts, you know, I think are ways to element or showcase, you know, highlight points of the music. Ellison likes this part. He said he likes the slow build up into the complexity to the chart. You got the the Tantanmen 7 pattern.
All this money
These are continuous follow point streams.
all this money can buy me it.
Honestly, looking back, I mean, I'm at the point now where it's like, if there's no extremely big issues I have, I shouldn't change details, because then I have another example like Golden Hour, one of my charts. It's like I constantly keep adjusting it where I'm no longer even happy about it anymore.
All this money can buy me it.
I would have actually extended this.
Buy me it.
Time.
Can buy me it. Time.
Yeah, it's a little off with the rhythms here, in my opinion, but
Money can
you know,
buy
buy me a...
can buy
Yeah, it's like, again, I can't describe it, but like to me, like this is better. This is much better.
can buy me.
But this is so nitpicky that like a first charter wouldn't have to worry about. But I'm critical about myself, about my charts, because I want to make much better stuff now, right? But also, like when I chart this now, I wouldn't notice that. But overall, what we're doing here is there's no twist. This is a break, and I am trying to make it deliberately as simple as I can with these essentially 8th note run here. And we're just slowly building up to that climax. We're building up that tension. This actually sucks. Wait, hold up. Wait. Never mind, I was looking wrong about it. No. Slowly introducing the twist, but also like it adds to like the no emphasis strain of the vocal. If I wanted to, honestly, what I could have done was right here with like the whoa, 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 and then right here, like with the nose, I should have honestly continued the twist concept in my opinion. Yeah. This is okay as it stands right now, because if you look at this pattern, like you are moving around, it's like whoa, and that's decent, kind of like my 14, but I think my 14 does it better here. I would have done a more extreme weight shift here to develop what you currently had here. You could honestly flip the two from A to B to B to A, swap those. But it's like, again, you know, this is like when I was first kind of like getting my grounds of like how to like kind of like make I was really taking real like pushing real like core ideas, and it's like it's still a good chart, but there's things like that can make it from like a 9.5 to like, you know, like a 9.7, things like that. This is still the same tick count. I would have made this like a 6. Like making her vocals echo with the combo. You have a little gimmick here. You know, this is the classic, I would say, how do I describe this? I mean, this has just become second nature to me. You put a 192 behind this, so it's like you can just snap onto the first one. You just immediately make the 0. I might as well explain this for people who don't know charting very well / gimmick. Basically, we're making a, you know, we're basically adding we're making a stretch out gimmick that looks like this, to kind of like, you know, like this is like, you know, used not only like a lot of like pump charts, but basically it's used, well, the reason why it's used is because it's a good way of just kind of like showing what's upcoming, what is the final upcoming final chorus that's like leads ahead of you. It's a good device for chart storytelling. And so this basically shows you, this makes it, if you're using 600 AV, this basically makes it 300 AV with the 0.5, because your default is 1. So obviously, what's 1 divided by 0.5? Well, that's 2. So your AV would be split by half. And then how long do you, like, when will it become 300 AV? In 1.5 beats. If you look down here, or if you use Arrow Vortex, you can change this, right? And for the beats, that's why from here we have it 1.5. And then afterwards, I add a 1. So it turns back to your normal AV. And then obviously, it will revert back after 2.5 beats, which will be based on this note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can just, 2.5. My way of doing it is like, well, what is 204.5 plus 2.5? 7. And that's why it's exactly 2.5. That's why I never mess up. By the way, if you're wondering what version of Air Vortex I'm using the GitHub version. If you press Control-Shift-P, you have the in-time gimmicks. It's been a fucking game changer for me. Another way of me mastering runs, I think this single trick has made me, having a bucket of patterns is so vital, right? To just making good step charts, in my opinion. Not only pattern exposure, playing the game, and looking at good charts, but also having an arsenal of like patterns you want to use, I think is just as important. This is basically the cutoff stream from EXC's Super Fantasy S16, where he starts it like bump, 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 and then so you're going from left to right, and then you go back left. I don't know how to describe it. It's so weird looking at first, but once you add it to your charts are just... Because, look, if it would be like this... If I just made this like this... that works. But that's, tiring. And I'm trying to make an engaging stream that's not too strenuous because, again, if you remember the very first chorus... It was gallops, and even though we're at the we're at the double chorus, where it's you can tell with the vocals and instrumental is more lively. I still need to I can't overwhelm you quite yet. It's just like Super Fantasy, in that case, where it's like you have that little bridge segment right before the double chorus, where it's not immediately difficult. It's obviously a step up from what you've seen, but it's not going to be extreme. And now we go back to the gallop motion. These are still follow stream. This is not cut stream, what I told you earlier, where it would be like this. Because that would be much more tiring. This is like you're just going from left to right, so it's actually, in that sense, pretty generous in that regard. And then now it's introducing twists. And now with these notes, there's longer bursts. Like every time you're like weighing into her vocal, you're pounding your body with each of these like imagine again like going noble or like super like wide form. You could really tell the emphasis in the movement here of your body rather than being full on stationary. Wait. Maybe I should make an upper diff. Maybe. Honestly, that might be better. But anyways, I use copy and paste too much. I was still kind of, experimenting. So this is like mirrored with... This is the same as this. So it's straightforward, weight shift, straightforward. And then technically this is like a extreme weight shift being a twist. I think this is a little questionable. I like the idea of a twist, but I think something better would be like this. Like maybe this, this is better in my opinion. Still pretty good, I think, though. I'm being extremely nitpicky about my charts, but again, that's not a bad thing. Like these are details that most people would not, most players would probably not really notice or care about, but I care about it because I'm passionate about this shit. I was just complaining about this, and now it's like this is the repeating of now. You're still in the double chorus, but now you're in the second part. So how do we extend this? Well, before you remember how I was limiting you to stay in this kind of like stationary area. You're not moving that much, but now this second part, we are wailing our body. We're going everywhere now, and that's intentional. And now, instead of it being connecting, right? Again, we're comparing the first and the second part. This was fully connected, like runs, like triplets. And now these gallops go against your body. It's just like da-da-da, like going from left, right. I mean left, down, right down, left down, right down. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. The same idea. This is it's so good. I feel a lot better about these visually, and also doing them with my hands and like my mind. Like this works better than the slight hiccup earlier. But again, it's still a pretty good chart. And now we are at the final string. I want all. I mean, you can hear the vocal in like the song, all of the emotion compounding and coming in once, right? So I have to introduce my favorite pattern. I deem this the whirlpool pattern. Yeah, I freaking patented it. This is my pattern, alright? I'm kidding. But this is where you go. So this is where basically, you're swinging your body from left to right and then restoring back from like left to right. It looks like this. I look so stupid right now with my hands, but obviously I'm shadowing it. And if you look at the dancing bot, or like how the motion would look like on the bar, it's like a whirlpool. That's why I call it a whirlpool dance. That's why I call it a whirlpool pattern. This is officially, I think this is my first time introducing this pattern, or the first one I can remember that I really use this pattern. And it's becoming part of my arsenal so much now. And now, so this is like the whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't make it too complicated. Again, I am introducing the second chorus. Like now I have more free range. I can kind of go out, but I'm not going all out just yet. And you'll see just in a minute where and why. And now we're doing, that's done. And then now we're doing another whirlpool pattern here, mirrored to the right side. And now it's like, oh crap, this is some hard ass variation. So we have a staircase and then a mirrored staircase. So it's gonna look like this. It looks like this. This is a staircase and then a vertical staircase. Staircase, vertical, staircase, vertical. And then it goes from another whirlpool like this. So this is extreme weight shift. I wouldn't say this is my whirlpool pattern anymore. This is a variation of that, I guess. Like this is classic whirlpool pattern with these four. And now this is just extreme weight shift. Like your body is flailing everywhere. Again, with this low BPM, it's more like forgiving. And by the way, yeah. Wait, never mind, I'm gonna say that later. A whirlpool pattern. And now from here, this is the final stretch, and this, I already talked this in my FNAF video, but again, that video is going to be a freaking hour long, so no one's going to probably sit through that, unless you're extremely wanting to, like, I guess, hear me yap or hear about charting. But there is a very good saying with, not saying, you want to, why do people chart, right? Like, for example, this song, at the second chorus, it's a lot more visible compared to the first chorus. Like, it's nice, right? But there's more instruments here being introduced, right? And obviously with that, we need our chart to represent that with more power, more difficulty, and more overall progression / what is the theme / thing we're trying to build up for. Charting is actually not that... Charting is hard, but in a way, it's very logical. Because when you make a chart, you're not representing a song, but you're also making an essay. You have your first paragraph, you have your thesis, like what is like the theme / like hints you're trying to introduce. I don't necessarily have any hints per se for this. What I mean by hinting is like, let's say I have a bracket in the middle, like in the here, and then like in the ending it like starts like developing, right? That's like what hinting is with like gimmicks, right? I forgot the overall idea I'm trying to say, but the overall impact that we're trying to, like, what is the overall lasting impact we want for our player? So by doing stuff like this, we make better step charts, and then we make an overall memorable experience, and that's what makes a I don't want to say their charting name because I feel that's not nice. That's how you can make, I think, good charts to excellent charts. When you have decisions like this to slowly build up the layers and the foundation, like what do you want to speak to the player? It's easy, yes, in the beginning. It's simplistic in the beginning. But then all of the emotions flood the player, and that's exactly what I was trying to build up. It starts simple, and then it slowly builds up. Even the parts that are difficult builds up with variation until the very end. Imagine if this was like, and I would still do this even if the second chorus was like the same sounding, because in my opinion, that's how you can make interesting step charts. Like, I wouldn't just like go to, like, for example, well, I was again talking about the FNAF charting. This song, there is a second chorus, but the actual, like, there's no extra instrumentals. It's the same vocals, but yet I make the chart interesting by developing on it the previous one by, you know, making it the same. While I do think copying and pasting is a good, very, very good tool that has also made me a better charter, to also just completely copy and paste it and just mirror it is flat out lazy, in my opinion. You have more leeway, and like I think you can do it with more lower difficulties, but at the very least you should change some elements, like let's say like a little bit at the very end when you're transitioning out, for it to stand out, right? So yeah, going back to Jay, how do you make a lasting impact with the player? And that's how you make from a good chart to an excellent chart. Extreme weight shift, whirlpool, and then this is a whirlpool. Honestly, I could have went harder here. I should have done like this. Wait, hold up. Maybe that's a little too extreme. Again, I mean, now I'm going back so I can see more things about it, but what did I have previously? I would, nowadays, wait, let me see. Because if I really wanted the most extreme weight shifts, I would do like that. Because like, if I look at, let me compare it before and after. Honestly, this is fine. This is like not too extreme. Like, this technically builds on it with an extra thing, but I could have, now looking back, this is more maybe like a punny thing where it's like, I do shit like this is fucking crazy. This is full on like NX emotion charting. But this is still built up. I think this is safe. This is relatively safe, but this is just a right amount of difficulty increase. Because if I look at here, I mean, this is better off at the very ending. This is extreme weight shift. If I wanted to, I should have, again, this is another case point where it's like, if this is section B, if this is section A, I got the difficulty progression wrong. I should have flipped it. Simple stream. You could do the same idea to be safe, but I love my twists, and I think it's to add the oomph, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that pretty much covers that got away. Also, this used to be a 17. I changed this to a 16 because I wanted it to be a hard tier 16. I think it's too easy to be a 17 in my opinion. I mean, it could be an entry 17, but I would say with the ending, I mean, I guess I'm a twisty for when I like twisty. Like, Super Fantasy is like 140 to 145 UCAM. I mean, this ending is pretty fucking hard though. But it is like, how long? And it's like, the beginning parts are probably like a 15, like low 15, maybe like mid 15. I would say this could be like, yeah, like at least mid 16. At least mid 16. But this could be argued still as a 17. But yeah. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed me yapping, and that was pretty much, me analyzing and just talking about, just my overall thought process and just modern style of charting. Definitely better that I came out in a single charts, because there's a lot more for me to talk about, as well as, the FNAF footage being an entire set list and being way too long. I'm not going to talk about the other charts, because I think the 16 is the one that I got the idea for, because Ellison really enjoyed it, and I'm like, yeah, the 16 is pretty good. There's some things I do well on this. Oh wait, final thing. What is hold accenting? Hold accenting is something a lot of beginner charters do that is kind of an eyesore and something you shouldn't do. But when it's a slow part, when it's either a slow part or you want to add emphasis, it's good. Because usually it's modern would be like this. But then it's when you add this, it's oh shit, wait, this part should be this. You're adding oomph/weight to it. I'm gonna explain better to it. This is also really good for me to yap like this, because then I'm going to be making my charting guide, and by me explaining this in countless times in other videos, not only be easier for me, but also if you've watched these ahead of time, the charting guides might make more sense in that regard.